Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Socialism is suddenly popular in America. How's that possible? Because the drugged morons don't even know what it is. They don't know what it has wrought. They don't know where it leads. They have no idea what it'll do to them. Now, couple that with bringing in as many Islamic fascists as you possibly can, as quickly as you can. Why? Why are they bringing in so many young men of military age into Europe, into America? What's their game plan here? And now throw in what you're talking about, confiscation of guns. It ain't happening, Alex. It would not Australia. Australia had no Second Amendment. That's number one. And I will remind you and your audience, and this is the most important thing, Alex, I'm sorry for the day. I have a tape that I keep playing on my radio show from Elena Kagan when she was appointed to the Supreme Court, when she went through the fake hearing, the kangaroo fake hearing of whether she should be appointed or not. She was asked about the Second Amendment. So Elena Kagan, when she was grilled, fake grilled, she says, where do you stand on guns? And she says, the Second Amendment is established law. The Second Amendment is established law. Well, if it's established law, how could Barry from Honolulu take your guns? How could the witch from Arkansas or Chappaqua?
I agree with you, but they're openly licking their chops is what I'm saying. I agree it'll start a civil war. I agree they're not going to get away with it, but they're openly now, Hillary, Obama, others saying we do need to look at confiscation. That's a bold move. Why are they shooting their mouths off?
There was a time not too long ago when the Democrats would never even touch God, guns, and gays. Remember that time not so long ago? But Barry from Honolulu is such a slick con artist that he's so hoodwinked the American drug addict that they actually think it's time for socialism, gun seizure, no borders, and flood America with your Muslim brethren. The people are stupid and they're drugged, Alec. And they sense they could get away with it. But you know what? They're reading the tea leaves wrong. There'll be a revolution and they're going to lose, Alex. There are too many guns and too many people ready to fight them. I'm not calling for revolution. They are. Let's be very clear. I am a man of peace. I am a man of peace. But we have gangsters running this country. Criminals, gangsters. What the hell is this highway bill all about? The first day, I'm sorry for yelling.
No, we're normal. We see total criminal takeover, the death of freedom, the death of the West, and these crazy socialists that so hate freedom that they want to bring in the most radical Sunni Wahhabiist to run around and rape people, and the Swiss and Dutch and all the rest of these police just let them go under orders. I mean, it's just crazy that we've gotten to this point, and it's normal to get angry. We need to get people out of their coma. How do we do that?
I got to go back to Paul Ryan. He gives a speech today that I hear on ABC News about the highway bill. Listen to this. The first day he gives a speech, what's it about? The highway bill. Who was it who was pushing the highway bill for years now? Nancy Pelosi. Put two and two together. Why is it a highway bill that's on the top of their list?
Because Pelosi supported him.
Why does Pelosi push it?
Because
There's an old adage, all roads lead to Rome. You ever hear that one going back to ancient times? All roads lead to Rome. That's as far as I can go without winding up with lead shoes in the bottom of San Francisco Bay. And I'll let it hang in the air. It is the most corrupt, degenerate, criminal government in American history. And I'm not saying this for effect, nor to sell a book. I'm trying to awaken people. Unfortunately, Alec, your audience is already awakened. They're agitated. They're ready to strike. They don't know what to do. But look at the morons around you. Go walk in the streets.
They're zombies.
You know, I walked in San Francisco yesterday, the most beautiful city. I love it to death. I'm walking through a park near the Embarcadero, and without being graphic, I'm an old Boy Scout, so I read footprints in the woods, and I can read droppings in the woods. I was taught how to follow droppings of what kind of animal it is. Well, there was a dropping on the ground on the sidewalk that I said there are no bears in the city. How could this can't be a bear?
Well, it's an admitted record problem in San Francisco, public defecation, and now in government buildings, even when they have bathrooms, they're so mentally ill that they just enjoy crapping in public.
What does that say about a civilization, Alex, that people are allowed to crap without they're having their heads broken open by a cop? In my day, if a guy did that, a big Irish cop would smash him on the head with a nightstick and drag him into the prison and hose him down and throw him into a jail and leave him there. What is it all about? So the public defecation could be stopped in 1 second, right? So what is this about? It's to constantly lower the standards of the middle class, constantly dehumanize the middle class.
That's it.
Right? Dehumanize, desensitize, weaken until eventually they have no resistance to whatever the evil criminal gangsters in the regime might do next. No borders, no language, no culture. What does that matter? Leftist says, hey, savage, what the heck are you so excited about? What do you need a border for? And what are you holding on to English for? Your parents were immigrants, weren't they, Michael? Yes. And so what's your point, Larry? I was on Larry King last week. But I actually like Larry King. But you know why, Alex? He's a liberal, old school, nice liberal, smart, but not vicious. Totally different than the new generation of progressive psychos, right? So he says to me, your parents were immigrants, so what are you afraid of someone not speaking English? I said, I don't care what language they speak at home. My grandmother never spoke a word of English. But my father drilled into me, you're in America. Learn English. Learn it the best way you can. Become an American. You're not living anywhere else. Be an American. That's not the ethos of this generation, is it? Do you hear them teaching their children learn English? They're teaching them learn anything but English. Stamp on the country that's so good to you. Don't learn their language. There is no culture there. How long has the left taught us that America has no culture? It's an acculturated nation. That we're a nation with no culture.
They want to get rid of our culture so they can then download into us their sick, mentally ill culture. And you were one of the first to say this, but more and more it's clear. The top liberals are vicious mafia social engineers, as you've documented, but their minions really are mentally ill basket cases. I'm sure you saw the Atlantic Monthly article a few weeks ago about the coddled generation admitting, and these are leftists saying, that their college students have now become like these weird Maoist youth brigades that shout them down for just any language. They are complete fascist basket cases that just flip out and now want to ban the word mother and father.
You're a father, Alec. You know that children need discipline. You know what happens when you raise them without discipline. They become animals. I was in a Chinese restaurant last night in San Francisco. I love a dumpy restaurant that I go to. There was a kid, two of them, running around screaming at the top of the lungs. I mean, screeching, where the food, you couldn't even digest it. Now, I wasn't going to say anything because, you know, what are you going to do? I looked at the father. He was a nice-looking guy, not a weakling, but indulgent, afraid to say no to Johnny. The type that when Johnny defecates in his hand and wipes it on the wall, he will say, Johnny is an artist. That's a Chagall he just painted. Don't wipe it off the wall. These people are crazy.
They are.
No, they have no discipline themselves. Remember, if the father's 30, 32, 33, right? He may look good. He may be. What's amazing to me is that these guys are well built. They all go to the gym, right, Alex? They all got abs, but they have no cerebrum.
They don't have the minds of men.
He's like zomboids walking around, wild, crazy children. This child's made to be only one thing, which is a tort lawyer. That's all he can grow up to be. And if he fails at that, he can become a government worker. But aside from the facetiousness, okay, discipline gone, society going, breaking down, at the top gangster regime, sucking us dry. Paul Ryan, first speech, highway bill. Who's in the highway building business? Who makes the trillions off the highway bill? Are you in the highway business? You know
No, but Nancy Pelosi went into Congress worth about $500,000. Now she's worth hundreds of millions, and her husband suddenly became worth billions. She's a nice lady. Of course, I'm sure she's friends with Don Corleone.
Very nice. She's a sweet grandmother. And you know, what's also nice about Pelosi is the fact that her brother-in-law got about a $1.2 billion loan from the government for a solar plant in the Nevada desert. And he did so well in producing about 1 megawatt of energy for it that they gave him another $800 million, according to what I've recently read. How come it's not in any of the newspapers? Have you ever seen corruption like this? Couldn't even go on today.
Yeah, what's wrong with Harry Reid giving billions in contracts to his sons? He's got like 4 or 5 of them. That's nothing. That shouldn't even be in the news. I mean, how dare you do your research? It's totally normal.
The Republican Party? There is none. It's a one-party system, oligarchy. All the conservatives that were put in last year were put at the back of the bus. Remember how much hope we had in November when I wrote Stop the Coming Civil War? I said, hold your nose, go vote for Republicans, and we'll put their feet to the fire after they win. Guess what? Boehner has no feet. McConnell has no feet. There's no feet to put on the fire. They're empty shells. They were never men. They were never there. They were factotums of Barry from Honolulu. One party, period. It is a fascist dictatorship. He wants to crush us under his fist. He is the worst monster in the history of America. And if he uses an executive order to go around Congress on immigration, we need 10 million people immediately demanding that an impeachment hearing be started, whether or not those cowardly, useless gangster Republicans do it or not. We need a people's tribunal. This slick BS artist, Barry from Honolulu, has done more harm to the world than Marx and Lenin put together. And he gets away with it for one reason, Alex. He doesn't shout like me. Have you ever heard Barry from Honolulu scream?
No.
Never. He is the smoothest con man in the history of the world. He makes Soros look like a chump. Soros, by the way, is behind breaking all the borders of Europe. You know that. With his open society. You know, Soros is who flooded America with marijuana. You know that. Now, many people like marijuana. I think it's one of the most toxic substances in the world. It is the road to addiction. It is a gateway drug. Who has made it suddenly so friendly? 10 years ago, I fought with one of Soros's minions on my radio show. Soros was the first to fund medical marijuana initiatives in Arizona and California. And I was arguing, are you people crazy? It's a gateway drug. You're going to hook a generation on drugs. We had this argument. It's history now. Marijuana is as friendly as candy corn. Everyone thinks it's a benign herb. It is not. So what does it have to do with Soros's master plan? The man is possibly the most evil genius on the planet, in my estimation.
Eric in Colorado wants to talk about Michael Savage and his comments in the last hour on marijuana. In fact, tonight on the Nightly News, we're going to air a clip of Michael Savage talking about marijuana, and I happen to agree with him in certain respects. But first, let's get the caller's take. Eric, go ahead.
Hey, sir. First off, I just want to say that you are a beautiful trans species, and I support your change. Yeah, I just wanted to go to that, what Michael said about it being a gateway drug, and that is actually a completely false narrative. That's a social engineered narrative. It's no more true than saying a couple of beers is going to force you to drink a handle of vodka every night. Do you know what telomeres are?
Yes, I do know what telomeres are in the DNA. Before we go there, he specifically was hitting the fact that George Soros is pushing hardcore, weaponized marijuana that's like 90% THC when the strongest stuff used to be 25% max, and that many people then never develop, live in their parents' basement forever, and basically get brain damage from it. Marijuana is an amazing plant. It has thousands of different medical applications. It's right up there with things like aloe vera, maybe even more powerful, maybe one of the most versatile plants ever in pharmacia. So that's one debate. But then people that just smoke dope all day and push it and say it's a cure for this, a cure for that, when it's just a treatment for things, and a great treatment for a lot of things, glaucoma, you name it, they exaggerate and it becomes a cult. And so he was going at it from that angle. I'm against the drug war itself. I'm for decriminalization. But I think we should also talk about how destructive weaponized marijuana can be. Now go ahead and elaborate your point.
I think the destructive part of that would be the chemical processed forms of it, so like a hydroponic version where you're pumping chemicals into it. I mean, no different than any GMO product. But in its true base form, I mean, THC is not bad. Higher values of THC will actually contribute to helping people rid of ADHD or any other type of...
well, there are some studies that it does a lot better than speed pills like Ritalin or other things that burn your brain out. It actually does help some people that are overactive minds. And a lot of that's if you get kids off red dyes, processed foods, sugar. That's the real answer. But sure, if you're going to drug them, in a lot of studies, it's been proven that low dosages of pure THC are better for children's brains than, say, something like Adderall. But, I mean, Adderall is absolutely hardcore amphetamine, and so I think comparing it to it is not fair. But I get your point. I hear what you're saying. But you have to also get the perspective of what Savage is talking about. I know that's a famous statement from the 30s. You know, it's a gateway drug in the 60s. But it probably is a gateway drug at certain levels. But the argument that it's a gateway drug, so let's put people in prison for it, is wrong. Let's not put anybody in prison for being a user. And let's admit some drugs have good applications if they're not abused. But at the same time, I don't think we then jump the other direction and fully endorse it. And I agree with Savage on why George Soros is so deeply involved in it. Break down why you're so proud of these filters.
Well, I mean, the Alexa Pure is really a culmination of all of my experience. It was posed to me as an extremely challenging project. They wanted a product that would actually operate without any electricity, so it had no pressure. You had to do it all by gravity. And they really effectively said, we need everything imaginable to be removed efficiently, way higher than 99%. And so the result was it's an extreme challenge. Worked on it for quite a long time. And basically what we've done is we've created the only filter, to my knowledge, that hits all three. It will remove effectively all the major metals, all the major non-metals such as fluoride. It will take out all known microbiological threats, including viral, bacterial, and cyst. And it will take out organic chemicals of pretty much everything without exception. It's a very, very powerful device. I don't believe that there's anything else out there in the world that can do that, especially under gravity flow conditions. The fit and finish are fantastic. No compromise was made on the quality of the construction. So, I mean, it's really a remarkable achievement on their part, and I feel very proud, actually, to be part of the team that put that together.
What's your view overall on fluoride?
Well, okay, so we actually tested against both the fluoride ion and the fluorosilicate that you mentioned, which is the additive that people put into water under federal control. And basically, we removed both of them with equal efficiency. So we wanted to be sure that no matter how fluoride is added to the water, it can be intercepted and removed. So that's how we've dealt with that. All I can tell you is that we tested against all known fluoride chemicals that are added to water, the new ones and the old ones, and we removed them all of equal efficiency. And
it's your belief that this is the best gravity-fed filter of the design out there available to the public?
Without a doubt. I mean, most of these gravity flow filters are at best simple particulate filters. They remove dirt and debris, sediment. They're not going to be capable of intercepting a viral particle to the degree we're talking quantitative reduction below detection. No one can touch that kind of capability.
Well, I'm impressed, and I want to thank you so much for your time today. It is the Alexa Pure Pro family of water filtration systems available, discounted exclusively at InfoWarsStore.com. I want to thank Mr. Redhawk for allowing us to be part of the launch of this. It's on sale right now for their main unit, $177. Leading competitors that aren't even as good are more than that. And they've also got the survival spring type straw system for survival that is an absolute must-have.